Where did you get the Philly cheesesteaks? Let's talk about
Boston cheesesteaks?
They were bringing Boston cheesesteaks. They were bringing them in, shoving them through the window. Just here you go, boss.
She punched me.
I wouldn't now, she's pregnant. But
She punched me. That's how I got pregnant.
the way to reach people is not to put them up against the wall and say, you know what you should do. You know, it's to open their hearts. And the way to do that is with a joke.
No, you should see the way we all looked at him. We all like, what is going on?
I'm Adam McKay, the writer-director of Don't Look Up, and I'm joined here by a sizable chunk of our cast, and we're going to talk about the movie. We're going to do something crazy. We're going to actually chat it up.
Here, there's something you don't like the looks of.
We discovered a very large comet.
Oh, good for you.
It's headed directly towards Earth.
This comet is what we call a planet killer.
At this exact moment, I say we sit tight and assess.
Sit tight and assess.
Sit tight.
And then assess. The sit tight part comes first, then you gotta digest it. That's the assessment period.
So this movie came from my burgeoning terror about the climate crisis and the fact that we live in a society that tends to place it as the fourth or fifth news story, or in some cases even deny that it's happening, and how horrifying that is, but at the same time preposterously funny. And so I worked on the script, and right away I knew that I needed someone who could spit fiery truth in a real and funny way. So the very first actor I thought of was a lady who hails from the southern Midwest by the name of Jennifer Erin Diane Lawrence.
Sinclair.
None of those are her middle names, by the way. I just made those up. But Jen, I sent you the script. I think you were the very first person to read it, other than my wife and the producer. And what did you think?
I'm so happy I didn't know that at the time. The pressure would have been overwhelming. I mean, I was blown away. I wasn't surprised because it's you, but I mean, it's so rare to see just an absolute slam dunk in something. There's just every single reason in the world, and something that, you know, I've been so frustrated.
I knew this was going to happen.
Okay,
So I heard about this last night. I'm getting the bit over with. Jonah's got a fart machine.
No, you should see the way we all looked at him. We all like, what is going on?
I was like, do I finish the question?
God.
I acknowledge that he just farted.
So Jen jumps into the movie,
Yeah.
and then I have the delusional thought that every director ever has had, which is, who am I going to cast as the president? Oh, I know. Perhaps the greatest film actor ever, Meryl Streep. And lo and behold, I know I just embarrassed her, I'm sorry. But she says yes. And Meryl, what do you think?
I was so hoping someone would pay attention to this very issue and to put it together in a cogent way and to make it somehow reach people, and the way to reach people is not to put them up against the wall and say, you know what you should do. You know, it's to open their hearts, and the way to do that is with a joke. Even though this movie is underwritten by this huge urgency and something that's real, and in the end of the movie, I mean, when I saw it, it just killed me. I mean, I read the script, I knew it was coming, but I didn't know it would make me think, Meryl, you gotta change your life now. You gotta get on this. You gotta get on this in a real way. I pray it has that effect on everybody that sees it.
Because you in the past, you're pretty well known for, you've done commercials for Hummers. You're a big guy. You've done several Chevron
She's a
ads.
gas guzzler for sure.
Yeah. So then we needed a wily hilarious improv
Fart machine bringing.
fart machine bringing actor. I know Jonah can improvise a line or two, so I sent Mr. Hill the script, and thank God you signed on. And then you, sure enough, on set brought just incredible energy, improv, but always grounded. That's what I love about Jonah. And Jonah, I'm curious, what was it like during this insane pandemic to be on set?
I was hyped. It was great. Meryl playing my mom, and and us getting to play like off of one another was amazing. And then also it was just so nice because you're like cooped up in your house like everybody was for a year. And then I was like, all of a sudden, well, Leo and I lived together. That was really fun. So we could like watch movies and hang out, and you're just kind of by yourself before that. And then cracking jokes with like all these amazing, brilliant people was awesome.
Then I had an incredible experience on my previous movie, Vice, where I got to meet Tyler Perry. He came into my office and we said hi and we chatted it up, and he left, and I was like, oh my God, that's one of the most impressive people I've ever met. He's got to be Colin Powell. And then Tyler was incredible, to the point where some people, I don't know if I ever told you this, Tyler, some people thought some of the footage of you as Colin Powell in the movie was actually Colin Powell. I'm not kidding. People thought it was stock footage.
Wow.
And the craziest thing you did was you and Cate Blanchett, when you got on set, had to have chemistry like you've been working together for 10 years. And I'm not kidding. It was like 2 minutes into them talking. It was just there. Can you talk about that a little bit with Cate?
You know, honestly, I found myself, being a director, I found myself constantly saying, just stop watching her. Just be in the moment, be the character, because Cate is so phenomenal. I kept getting pulled out because of the performance she was putting down. And then when these two come out and we're all gonna die, I'm just like, yo, what is happening here? So I constantly had to pull myself back down, realizing I'm working with the best of the best and not be caught up in the performance, because I believed every moment. I mean, by the time they left, I thought the comment was really coming, you know?
Our guests today have made a pretty big discovery in space.
How big is this thing, though? Like, can it destroy my ex-wife's house? Is that possible?
There's a 100% chance that we're all going to die.
Hey.
Well, the handsome astronomer can come back anytime, but the yelling lady, not so much.
This was before the pandemic, you wrote this.
Yeah.
So how does that feel to write something this profound in this space and then the pandemic happens?
I mean, you guys, we can all speak to that. I think one of the strangest things was to see exact beats of the movie playing out. I think it's more than being prophetic or any kind of thing like that. It's just kind of shows how broken, our governments are. But I gotta be honest, I never expected there to be people that would deny that COVID existed. I never thought, regardless of who you voted for, you gotta admit it was crazy when the president said ingest bleach on national TV. I mean, I just felt like that went so far beyond any comedy we had in our script. So it was bizarre.
Sometimes the best ideas sound crazy, Adam, but that one worked.
And because we all ingested bleach,
for all of us.
It worked for all of us.
millions of people are alive.
You'd been wanting to do a movie about the climate crisis for a long time. So tell me about the original ideas that you had and why you landed on this one.
I started just talking to a lot of people and scientists, and I kept looking for good news, and I never got it. Everything I was hearing was worse than what I was hearing on the mainstream media. And so I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a journalist, David Sirota, and we were both just like, can you believe that this isn't being covered in the media, that it's being pushed to the end of the story? There's no headlines. And Sirota just offhandedly said, it's like a comet's headed to Earth and it's gonna destroy us all and no one cares. And I just was like, that's the idea. And what I liked about it was, it's a familiar premise. We've all seen hundreds and hundreds of movies, whether it's Towering Inferno or the Marvel movies or James Bond, and they all get to a point where the world's about to end and they all work out just fine.
Right.
And I just think narrative is really powerful. And in some ways, maybe we all think, as not only people, but as audience members, that it's just going to work out. I then took the script and I went to the perfect guy to play Professor Mindy. And Leo and I had like 3 or 4 meetings in my guest house. It was so great. Leo's really sharp when it comes to the science of this, and also such a rigorous actor with character and story. And so many good things came out of those meetings we had. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I just love the setup that you had with these 2 people that are put in charge of articulating science to the world and the urgency of an impending Armageddon, and how no one's really taking the irony of everyone sort of not taking them seriously. How this issue became politicized for them, and Jen's character is much more like an outspoken Greta Thunberg in the respect that she's speaking the truth, and then my character is one that tries to play within the system, tries to work with the powers that be, and sort of gets lost. But in a lot of ways, I don't know, I just remember meeting so many of these climate scientists and the feeling of frustration that they consistently had with trying to articulate what 99.9% of the scientific community has been stating for decades now, and not seeing action and real positive change. So I just love the approach that you had with this screenplay, and it couldn't have come at a more profound and important time when we've been giving a 9-year window to change things. And then COVID hit with a whole new level of denying the scientific community. And I was like, wow, this is just one of the most important projects I could be a part of in my life.
It is crazy that the livable atmosphere is actively collapsing right now. And yet you turn on the TV and you see a story about, a bear got in a canoe.
It's absurdity, but it's so human. We all want to pay attention to the things that are fun and engage us and make us feel glad to be alive. This idea of making a film that's funny, that makes that point, is maybe something that breaks through. We hope that it does.
We're going to get the news out there one way or another.
It's real and it's coming. FBI! Jesus Christ, you could have just called me.
This comet contains $30 trillion worth of material.
What do trillions of dollars matter if we're all going to die?
Oh, no, what if we're rich?
That would be terrible.
We talked about this earlier. There's 100 companies in the world that are producing 70% of the world's emissions, and that's what's happening right now. Every media outlet, all of us, as a world community, and that's what COVID did. It made us understand for the first time, I think, in my lifetime, how interconnected we are to microscopic germs. That we're all victim to, to Mother Earth, as you said. And I mean, this needs to be on the forefront of everyone's mind, every media outlet, every politician. It is the largest, and most complex issue that we've ever had to take on in the history of civilization.
One thing I do want to say about this stuff, as I've learned more about it from someone like me who's not like on the ground super aware, it's like when you're making any sort of big changes, the mountain, like Everest, just looks so massive, and you kind of like, how do I even take one little step? It's so daunting. But it might be nice for people to hear, instead of just like how gnarly it is and how important it is, like what's a minute step they can take that's not so overwhelming and doesn't take an enormous amount of privilege to make that change.
The number one thing they could do is vote for people who take science seriously, the climate crisis seriously, that want to take action. Mm-hmm. That's the number one thing people can do. And there's always been a conversation about what you can do in your personal life, and I think that has a lot of validity, but there are powers that be that really are going to create massive change, and that comes from the private sector, comes from government, and we need to put pressure on the powers that be the best we possibly can in our own way.
So awareness in the minutia of your voting towards these climate issues.
Absolutely,
cool.
That's the number one thing.
So I'm actually trying to imagine myself watching this and actually trying to be engaged instead of like, wow, a bunch of really smart people are talking about climate change. It's also really funny comedy. I want to like say that also, that you Adam so brilliantly did this like thing that's no one's pulled off since like Kubrick, of like a strange love kind of tone of like things that are really heavy that are so satirical. The movie's incredibly funny, and it kind of says your points to people that don't know what's up in a really funny, digestible way. I just want to make sure while we're talking about it, it's nice to understand that like when I'm watching this stuff, I don't know all this stuff. So it's really cool to like have it dumbed down for me or anyone else watching that like doesn't know what the to do about this stuff, you know?
You guys discovered a comet? I have a tattoo of a shooting star on my back.
Oh, that's terrific. Can I get one more ice water?
And I'll get 2 more glasses of white wine. And I don't need the judgy face.
Let me ask you guys, the process of shooting this movie during the pandemic. It's a comedy. It's about an incredibly dark, real subject. We all go to Boston. We're in these, quarantined apartments.
Bus.
Well, this guy, Tyler, well, you start off because Tyler had the plan on how to act during a quarantine. Will you talk about that a little bit? Just your bus that you drove up, and the way you handled it was so smart because you never had to break quarantine.
Not so much, because 12 days on the bus and not being able to go to the gym and eating Philly cheesesteaks was not a good thing when you have to show up on camera.
Sounds like my dream life.
Where did you get the Philly cheesesteaks? Let's talk about
Boston cheesesteaks?
They were great Boston cheesesteaks. They were bringing them in, shoving them through the window. Just here you go, boss.
Meryl, how was it for you?
I found it really hard, really, really hard, because I was aware that my character was funny. I didn't feel funny in the lockdown, and I was living up at home because we live up in the Berkshires, so that's about a 3-hour drive from Boston. And when I would come in to shoot my stuff, I'd get in my car, put my dog in there, and get out of the car, and hadn't spoken to anybody like in 3 weeks, and walk into the stadium in Worcester, put on the wig and put on the nails and put on the face and the suit and the thing, walk up to the Jumbotron, there's my face 40 feet tall, and make a speech to all these people. And I lost it. I forgot how to act. I forgot what I was about, or what am I? I'm this thing all put together of little component parts, and it sort of dismantles your humanity to be isolated like that. When we would improvise on the set, it was hard at first because we had the masks on, and you sort of didn't know, took the thing off. I worked with you 25 years ago. I remember you. But it was like weird. I found it really, really difficult. Thank God for Jonah, because he kept us laughing.
Dude, I had fun.
Yeah,
I had so much fun.
Ultimately, but it took a while to get the
it was weird.
Yeah,
like
it was weird.
Especially for comedy. But then it was like once we were in that Oval Office, it was so cool because it was like a bunch of people I either know really well or deeply respect, and like it was like, oh my God, like we can like joke around together. And then honestly, I'm not saying it because she is the GOAT, but I'm saying like working with Meryl was so rad. And like that to me was like, and not because of your stature in your art, but because of how you approach it and how hardworking you are and how awesome you are to talk to as a person, but also like how fun and funny you were in the pocket of this character. And for me, it was like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about it being this person I look up to. I get we're on the same wave of like what we are finding funny and interesting about this right away. Yeah.
The amount of phone calls that Meryl improvised at the beginning of the Oval Office scene.
That was incredible.
I actually had my editor put it together, and I think without exaggeration, it was like 16, 17 completely different phone calls that were all funny and specific. And that was the other one I tried so hard. I did like 6 cuts to get that in. But yeah, I kept asking Meryl, I was like, have you studied improv? She'd be like, oh, no. She was so humble about it. But man, she just, you went for like 2 straight days on those phone calls. It was crazy.
But it added to the experience of fun. It was fun. And then like that you're awesome it made the experience awesome. Like, you know, because like Leo and I are friends. Jen and I became friends really fast, and it was like, oh man, what if like Meryl doesn't like me or something? And then like, and then
Yeah,
you
but
were
you
just
introduced the love story between us, which was
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
off.
my
That was
God.
kind of off.
that he wants to have sex with his mom.
Yeah,
So bad.
that wasn't in
Yeah.
the script when I agreed to it.
Whatsoever.
that was
But
not
you went
paper.
with it pretty quickly, I will
Okay,
say.
I did.
Almost uncomfortably quickly, you wrapped your head around it.
And
One of
Meryl,
the
do you want
funniest-
to
one of
talk
the
about
funniest
the
moments from Jonah
tension, the tension between you and Jen Lawrence? Because that got dicey
Yeah,
on set.
yeah.
She punched me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was like a jab at the nose, like a quick pop.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And-
now. She's pregnant, but
She punched me. That's how I got pregnant.
Can I tell you the funniest thing when we were shooting this was that Jonah was staying with Leo, and Leo has these two rescue huskies that are just absolute
Psychotic.
tornadoes.
Full like joke like the Joker. They thrive in chaos. Like
So Jonah would just send me pictures of like your ripped apart couch. But you got to tell the frozen lake story, which is the craziest story.
Basically, they both fell in a frozen lake, and
oh my God.
yeah, and then I went. I didn't understand what you do in a frozen
you
lake.
jumped in. One of the dogs fell in.
Yeah. Oh
my God.
He jumped into the frozen lake to save the dog, and as soon as he pushed the one dog out of the pond, the other one jumped in.
Yeah. Well, the other one started licking the one that was drowning.
Oh,
and then we
that's
all
sweet.
were in the frozen lake
Oh
together.
my God.
But I sort of imitated them after I got them out, and he just kind of, living in California, didn't understand that you
And
don't.
I'm sure you guys are all wondering, I was too. He immediately got naked in the car.
There it is! Giant comet whirling its way towards Earth! Can you see it?
I can't. My head is in a bag.
I did have the FBI put that bag over your head. They don't do that. The CIA does, but I made them do it.
You know, I had a feeling.
It's a good feeling because that is what I did, and it was very funny and cool.
So the movie, obviously, the movie deals with the, impending end of the world. And, everyone always does, for years, people have done this game. If you have 1 day left, the world has 1 day left. And my answer is always like, well, I piss my pants and cry and pray. But once you get past that point, what would you do if there was 1 day left?
I'd get on my phone.
Go on TikTok, look at
Yeah.
farm animals.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would do things that I've always been curious about, like pushing somebody onto the subway tracks.
Jesus.
Jen's all involved murder.
I would purge.
I finally brought that back.
Yeah, I would do the purge and then cuddle up to my loving family.
I'd basically do what you wrote at the end of this movie. That's what I would do. That's why I loved the script. I was like, wow, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's just hang out and
Beautiful
enjoy
dinner.
each other's
Yeah.
company.
I might get cheesesteaks from Boston.
Right.
Honestly,
That's right.
I would definitely eat a giant cheesesteak, and then I would hold hands with my family and kind of do like we did at the end of the movie. I mean, that's why we did it. But the only addition would be an amazing 2,000 calorie cheesesteak, and it would smoke. I would smoke
I
like
would
a
smoke like a
fiend.
shim.
Oh my
Smoke,
God.
Yeah.
I'd smoke crack.
What about you, Meryl?
I don't know. When you said that, I thought half my family's in California and half my family's on the East Coast, and I'm on a press junket. And I would just probably get on the phone and curse, you.
No, the 24 hours, me and my son, we just play with the planes, and I talk to him and just tell him everything I wanted him.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Same. I mean, pretty much like I would surf. I would hang with my girlfriend and my dog and my nephews and my sisters and like just hang. Kind of. I don't want to give away the end, but like that is it. That is like all of it is just be around the people you love and like laugh with, and also like don't take everything so seriously. Seriously. But I do want to say you made a brilliant movie, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Me too.
I agree.
I love you
did,
guys.
the craziest thing you did is you made a tonal masterpiece.
Well, I love you guys so much. this was a movie like no other movie I've ever been involved in. And, you know, I tell people I actually get moved about how we all rallied together, the crew, the Teamsters, everyone really had to walk us straight and narrow to make this movie happen. There was no vaccine when we did this. So I love you guys so much, and you were all so amazing.
Congratulations.
Changed my life. Thank you.
Congrats to you, too. Yeah.
You are here now. You are here now. You are here now. Here now.
Your breathing is stressing me out.
This will affect the entire planet.
I know, but it's like so stressful.
I'm Adam McKay. Thanks for joining us for EW Around the Table. Don't Look Up premieres December 10th in theaters and Christmas Eve on Netflix.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you very much.